purchasing our butterfly kit. Everything in your kit should be what I have here. You will have, of course, your cut pieces of glass, your pattern, your foil, your Ameriwave flux, or you might have the Canfield brand. Either or, that's both of the brands that we use here in the shop. Your jar of flux, a fid, and a brush, a flux brush. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to use all of these items and how to assemble your panel. So the very first thing we're going to do is you're going to get all the glass out of your kit and lay it out just like I have here. The numbers will match the numbers identified on your pattern. Okay, and they should fit pretty snug, but they don't have to be exact. Okay, once you've got them all laid out like I have here, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to begin foiling our pieces. So you will take your copper foil roll out, unroll it, and you will notice that there is a paper backing to it, and you're going to peel off the paper backing. The silver side will be the sticky side. Okay, it's kind of like just a regular tape, except this is copper foil. And it doesn't matter what piece of glass you start with. You can start with any piece of glass. However, I do want to make note that the ends of your copper foil should start and stop where glass touches glass. So on any of these pieces where you have an outer edge, you don't want the foil to start or stop out here on these edges. Okay, on these center pieces it doesn't matter because there's glass all the way around those pieces. Okay, so I'm just going to pick up my first piece, and what you're going to do is you're going to place your piece of glass directly into the center of the strip of foil, just like I have here. And then you're going to wrap your glass into the foil. A lot of people say they're going to wrap the foil around the glass. That's true too, but I like thinking about it that I'm putting the glass into the foil, making sure I'm in the very center as I go all the way around. When you come back to the beginning, just overlap a little tiny bit, and then you can tear or you can cut it with a pair of scissors, either or. It's very thin. Then what's overlapping, you're going to press down onto the glass, fold over onto the glass all the way around, and make sure you have nice edges and corners. And when you are done, the goal here is however much glass you have on, however much foil you have on this side of the glass, you should have the equal amount on the opposite side. Okay, if for some reason you don't have any foil on this side and it's all on the other side, just peel the tape off, the copper foil tape, and just start it again. There's no sense in trying to make it work. And we always want to use one solid piece of foil around the glass piece completely. We don't want to piece part the foil. Okay, the next step, once you've got your glass foiled, is you're going to take the fid. And the fid, mine's kind of used, notice the black, but if you look at it sideways, you'll notice it's almost kind of boat shaped. It goes up this way and it'll go up this direction over here. Okay, and what you want to do is, that's the way you want to hold it, is with the boat like that. Okay, and what you're going to do is you're just going to burnish and depress the foil onto the glass all the way around. Now I'm not using the tip like this. I'm just laying it down on its side. We don't want to do that because you're going to rake the foil right off the glass if you do that. Okay, so just go all the way around. I do these sides first, making sure the foil is adhered to the glass really well. Then you're going to lay it flat, and you're going to do the top side like this, and basically it's like ironing. You're taking all the wrinkles out of the foil all the way around, just like that, and then you're going to flip it over and do the exact same thing to the back side. Okay, just like that. And there you have your first piece of foiled stained glass. Now you're going to continue to do this with all the remaining pieces of glass that you have. So I'm just going to grab another one and we're going to do the exact same thing, making sure I'm in the center of my foil. And if for some reason the foil doesn't stick and keeps wanting to come off the glass, then I would suggest maybe wiping that piece of glass down and starting with a fresh piece of foil, because there may be something on the glass that the foil doesn't like, and you want to make sure that all the dust and debris and anything is been removed from the glass to ensure that the foil sticks very well, okay? Because this is what's holding your panel together. All right, so here's my next piece again. Just going around after I've got it foiled, going around all the way, depressing it onto the glass, making sure I'm even on both sides, just like that. And once I am there, I'm going to again grab my fid, burnish all these pieces all the way around. Like that, and then again lay it flat and take all the wrinkles out. Can you see that? If you can see how smooth I just burnished that side versus see all the wrinkles on that side? That's what you want it to look like. You want it all wrinkle free as much as you can. This will not only ensure that it looks good, but it'll help when you get ready to apply the solder. The solder won't look bumpy and lumpy if you have nice smooth foil. Okay? And last but not least, if you end up, I'll give you a close-up here, if you end up with what I call a tail, or where the foil starts and stops, like right here, you see that little piece sticking out there? Then grab you a hobby knife or an X-Acto knife and just kind of trim that back a little bit so that you have a nice straight foil line. See, that's all I did, is I just took that little edge off, and then just make sure you do the same thing to the back side. Usually if you've got a front, there's a back. See that little piece sticking out right there? So again, I'm just going to take my knife, cut it down just a little bit right there, and now you see it's got a nice straight foil line going all the way around. Because whatever your foil looks like on your panel, that's what your solder line is going to look like. So just another little tip. Okay, so continue to foil. I'm going to go ahead and continue to foil my panel while you continue to foil your pieces. Take your time. You can pause the video. Remember, you're doing this at your own pace. So enjoy your me time. And when you're done, hit play and I'll be back. We are back. So once you have all of your pieces foiled, then lay them back on your pattern, and using your push pins, go ahead and pin all the way around the perimeter of your panel. Because once we get to soldering, which is our next step, we don't want any of the pieces to move. So as you can see here, mine are all nice and tight and put together. All my foil has been attached and burnished down onto the glass very well. So once you are there, then let's start soldering. So you will need your roll of solder and your flux, and of course your flux brush. A lot of people ask me what kind of soldering iron that I use, and I am using, and have been for several years now, this is the Hako FX601 model. I set it to 410, which is the equivalent of 750 degrees Fahrenheit, which is what we need to melt our solder. Okay, so once it starts to flash like mine is here, we are hot and ready to roll. So let me show you how we're going to solder. There's multiple ways to apply solder. I do it one of two ways, and I will show you both. It's really easy. A lot of people kind of overthink it. Don't overthink it. Just kind of follow along, and it should work for you too. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we need to apply our flux. So I'm going to grab some flux here out of my jar, and I am going to apply it to this 1/2 of the wing. I'm going to work on 1/2, and then I'm going to work on the other. It does not matter where you start, as long as your glass pieces have all been pinned down so that nothing moves. You can start this side, that side, top, bottom, does not matter, is irrelevant. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and flux up one wing. I kind of do a section at a time, but this piece isn't that big, so I'll just work on that half of the wing. And then I'm going to unroll my solder a little bit here. So we can either do what we call a tack solder, which is just kind of dropping solder onto a couple of the joints here and there in order to keep all the glass pieces together so that we can remove the tacks. But if you're going to tack solder, you're going to have to tack solder the whole panel. That way you can remove all the tacks out of your way. I'll show you that technique, or I'll show you how to just go ahead and start running a bead. So with your solder, what I do is I grab about enough solder that equals the width right here of the width of the iron, the tip. So I'm just going to go right down on top of it, and then we just kind of drop. Go down on your solder and drop. So this is just tacking, where I'm just putting solder blobs, if you will, where glass touches glass in order for all the pieces to stay put. So like if I have now just about finished this whole side, so theoretically if I did this to both sides, I could now start removing the pins over here, or even I can go ahead and start removing at least some of them on this side. I don't want to take them all because I didn't do this side. Okay, so you can do that. And then once you have room, you can then go back and do what's called running a bead, where you're putting the solder on the top of your iron, holding your iron up at about a 45-degree angle and letting the solder run down the iron as you slowly move the iron across your foil joints, just like that. Okay, that is called running a bead. Now, sometimes you can run a bead real good, and sometimes it'll either be too flat or it won't have enough solder on it. The way to know whether or not you have the right amount of solder is once this cools down, you should be able to feel it, and it should have a little bit of elevation. So you should have what I call like a speed bump. You should be able to run your finger across it and feel a little bit of an elevation like a speed bump. And that's about the right amount of solder you need. If you do not have that, if it's too flat and you can actually still see the joint, then you know you definitely don't have enough solder on there. Okay? So now if you've got your solder on there and you think you've got enough, but it looks maybe a little lumpy or doesn't look very, very even, this is where you can go back and what I call my 2-second rule. You don't necessarily need to add more if you think you have enough, but then just go back over it, go all the way down until you touch the glass, okay, and then start your count of 2. Touch the glass, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And you can go right along that, and that will make a really nice looking bead. Now here, it got a little flat on me, so I'm going to grab a little bit more and just drop it back down. And again, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And as you can see, I'm going to hold this, see if I can hold this board up. You have a real nice solder line right there. No lumps, no bumps. Okay? So really, that's all there is to it. So if I go, or you can even just continue to do this and just drop dots everywhere. As long as you have enough solder in that location, you can still go back and do the 2 count. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, if it rolls off the side, don't worry about it rolling off the side. we'll go back and we'll fix any blobs you have that where it may have rolled off the side, okay? So again, just run a bead if you want, or apply it however you like. And once you are done, if you feel like it doesn't look as pretty as you think it should, or your speed bumps don't look very even, then again, just go back. Like the way I do it is I apply like I'm doing now. I'm applying solder, and I don't really care what it looks like. I'm just going to apply it all over the place. And we're going to put some right down there. Okay, so now that I've applied it, what I do now once I've applied it and I think I've got enough, if I don't think I have enough, I'll just again grab some off my roll and drop it down. But once I have enough, or think I have enough, this is where then I just go back and just 1, 2. And see, mine rolled off too, but I'm not worried about it because we'll go back and fix that when we do the edges. Okay, and just like that. 1, 2, and it's not fast. We don't tap, tap, tap. Okay, we have to go down. 1, 2. We have to wait for that solder to solidify completely. And then it's just 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. If you end up with these little balls on top of your glass, that's okay too. Those will come off when we get ready to clean up our glass. Okay, so just like that. Going all the way around it. And if you've got a line where you don't think you need to do it, it looks good, then you can skip that and save yourself some time. But if you think you need to go back and do some touch-ups, then this is the way to do it. We don't want to slide our iron across the foil right now because the foil's very hot. And we don't want to take a chance on the foil tearing or coming up off the glass or anything like that. So we just do our little 1, 2 count all the way, and there you go. And we have really pretty looking solder lines. Let's see if I can get the glare off there, but as you can see, they're all nice and even. It looks a little gunky because of the flux that's all over it right now, but like I said, after it cools, if you want to check, you can just kind of run your hand across there and feel that you've got a nice little elevated run. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and continue and do the other side. And you guys go ahead and take your time. Work on yours too, just like I showed you. And when you're done, meet me back here and we'll continue and I'll show you how to do these edges and the rest of it, okay? See you in a bit. We are back. So did you take your time and get all your solder lines soldered up and nice and pretty? If you did, then let's move on to the next step. And we're going to do what we call tinning, which is just changing the color of the remaining copper lines from copper to silver. And we're only doing this top surface. We're not doing the side edges yet. So don't worry about any blobs. Like, see, there's my blob right there. We're not going to worry about that one yet, okay? We're only worried about this top surface. So again, anytime you solder, make sure you apply your flux. So I'm going to go ahead and apply my flux all the way around the top side here of the remaining exposed copper. And I'm just kind of globbing it on. All right, just like that. Then it doesn't take hardly any solder at all, just like a little, even just a swipe like that. And all you're going to do is you're just going to run right around the edges just like this. And you're just going to change color. This is what's known as tinning, where you're going to tin your edges. All we're doing is changing color. We're just adding a very tiny little bit of solder to the surface of our copper foil right there. All right, just like that. So now everything that you're looking at from the top down should be silver. Okay? So you have now officially completed side 1 of your stained glass butterfly. So now what you want to do, of course, after it cools, make sure it's cool to the touch. And then we're going to lift it up, flip it over, do it very carefully because you're going to still have kind of a little bendy point potentially right there where the wings attach to the body, okay? So flip it over, and now we're going to do the exact same thing that we did to side one. Only this time I don't have to tack solder. I can just start soldering because we don't have any push pins or tacks in the way anymore. So again, we're going to apply our flux, and you can do it as little or as much area, cover as much area as you want. And since this is gel, it stays on there pretty good. So we're just going to go ahead, and I'm going to just go ahead and do the whole thing this time. All right, just like that. Okay, so same process. We're going to do the exact same thing that we did to side one. We're just going to do it again now to side two. And we can either just run a bead or just drop it on there like that, however you want to do it. Just get the solder on all the joints. Make sure you unroll your spool. Some there, some there. And I'm just going to go ahead and do the whole thing. And you don't have to do it as fast as I am. I'm just kind of doing it for the video here. And you may have a couple little holes pop up. Just fill them with solder. Basically what it's doing is your flux that you've applied is trying to find a way out, and it wants to come back up at you since you've sealed off the hole on the other side. So I'm just applying it, and then once I've got it on there, then I will go back, and just like I did on side one, I will go back and check any areas that I might want to touch up, and I'm just going to touch up using my 1-2 technique. Just like that. And if it gets stuck like that, don't pull. Just reheat it and it will release. I got a little too close there. Alright, and now notice I've got just a couple little areas like here where the solder tried to bubble back up out at me, so I'll just kind of go over the whole thing. And again, I'm just 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, and take your time. Like I said, you don't have to do it as quickly as I am. I'm just doing it because of the video. I don't want you guys to have to sit there and hang out and be bored. And like I said, you don't want to do one area for very long. You don't want to superheat the glass because it will break. So if you have an issue in one area, go work on another somewhere else while that issue is cooling off a little. Then you can always go back to it. Okay? So just like that, I think we are there. So a couple little touch-ups, 1-2, 1-2, and then yep, it kind of rolled off the edge over there. That's okay. All right, so there's pretty much all my joints. A few little bubbles again. So I've touched them all up, and now again the same as before. We're going to get our flux and we're going to do our edges. All the way around. And we're going to do the exact same thing that we did to this front. Again, we're just doing this top side. Again, just a real quick swipe. And then I'm just going to travel all the way around here. Just like that. And again, I have no upper showing. Just like that. Okay? So now we are going to work on the actual edges. Okay, so the way I like doing the edges is once it's cooled, make sure it's cool. I like to pick it up and see, like these blobs like we have right here. See, I have my blob right there. Okay, this is where we can use that solder to finish off these edges here, because there's still, as you can see, there's still copper right there along the edge. Okay, and we want to make that silver also. So the way we're going to do that is the same thing. We're going to tin just like we did here, but we're going to use that blob. Okay, so I'm just going to run, and if you have too much of a blob, just hold it and run your iron over it and just let it fall right there onto the paper or onto your board. Okay, but yeah, we're just going to run and tin the same thing we did on the top side. I'm just going to rotate my piece and run my iron along the outside edge, and any excess will then fall just like that, and make sure that I have everything changed from copper to silver, just like that. And I'm going to come over here and do this wing and go down here, and then I'm going to switch hands. You don't ever want to work your iron on top of your hand, okay? So I'm going to switch wings here so I can do the other side, but I didn't want to hold it over there and then work on top of my hand, okay? So now I'm going to do the same thing to the other wing, holding this other side. And again, if it's too hot, let it cool for a minute and then pick it up. And come down this side, around. A little slippery with this flux on there. All right, and I got one little blob there. And if you, like I said, if you have a blob, just kind of, I can get a hold of it, just to kind of let gravity take its toll. And there it is, there's my blob. And then we'll just set it back down. Okay, so the very last thing that I do before we add the rings, you should have rings in your kit also to hang with, is right before I do the rings, I will just go back and make sure that since I just got done wiping these edges, that the solder here on all these joints that lead up to the edge, just make sure there's enough solder there that go all the way up to the edge. So I'm just adding a little bit more. And if you do like I just did and drop another one off the side, just again wipe it down with your iron. There it is right there. Okay, and then just make sure that your solder is going all the way to the edge on all your joints right here. And I'm just doing a little quick touch up here, a couple of them. And then there's one, and there's one. Just like that. Okay, and then once I do this side and make sure they're all going to the edge, which they now are. Make sure his butt is going to the edge. Then I will just flip it over and do the exact same thing to the front, and just make sure again that they're all going to the edge, that we don't have any of the seam of the two pieces of glass showing where they're connected. That should all be covered. And it looks like it is, just like that. Okay, so if you can see that, where it's going all the way up to the edge, right here. Okay, and now we'll just set that down a minute. And now we will add our rings. And I like adding the rings as shown here, but I like adding them to the back. That way, so this is the front because it's got all the numbers on it. So all I'm going to do is flip it over, and we're going to add the rings to those two joints here to the back of the panel. Okay, so go grab your rings and I'll show you how to attach them. I went and got my rings. Here's my two rings, and you will also need a pair of pliers, either needle nose bent or straight, doesn't matter, just something to hang on to the rings with. I've also just flipped my pattern and my butterfly upside down. That way it's easier for me to work right here on the rings where I'm going to attach them. Okay, and I always attach them. If you've got a open end of your ring, I always like to attach that opened end actually into the joint. So you're going to attach your ring on any joint on this butterfly. So it can be here, or on either side of the body, or up here on this side, which we're going to do one here and one here, just as shown on the pattern. Okay, you don't ever want to attach a ring where there is just plain old copper foil, because that copper foil will peel away with the weight of this panel. Okay, so you want to add it to a joint for a little added strength. So as usual, we are going to apply our flux as we always do. And right there is my solder. So I'm just going to grab the glob right there, and I'm going right on top of that joint, about halfway into the ring. So half of the ring is hanging off the edge, and the other half is going right on top of that joint. And I'm just going to add some solder. I'm going to add one more little bit here, just like that. And that right there is what your joint should look like. You should bury, if you will, and I'm going to hold this up so you can see, bury that ring. So you should not be able to see the actual bottom part of that ring. It should be buried underneath the solder. You should only be able to see this outside part of the ring here. Okay, and that's how you know you've got a real good adhesion into that joint. Okay, so now we're going to do the other side the exact same way. Now I'm going to come over here again. I'm going to add my flux. Make sure I got hold of it. Apply my flux, and again grab a dab of solder right there, and then we're going to do the exact same thing, just like that. And that one only took one. I had enough solder on my iron. All right, and then I'm holding it until the solder solidifies. So you don't want to let go of your ring too soon, because it'll just fall. So once your solder has solidified, then there you go. Now you've got both rings, and they're both buried underneath that joint, so it's safe to be able to hang your butterfly from those now. Okay, and there you go. Other than it being all goopy, fluffy, and ugly with stickers, you've now completed your first stained glass panel. Congratulations. So I'm going to go give mine a bath real quick, and then I'll come back and show you what it should look like and how pretty it can be once you've got all the solder, a little bit of dots here, and all the flux gunk off of there. And if you have any of these brown, looks like little burn marks, don't worry about it. That's just the flux. They should wash right off. So just get you a warm soapy water. Dawn dish soap works great. And give it a good scrub. And I'll be right back. All right, and I'm back, and I have washed my butterfly, and he is looking pretty good. So I just used, again, dish soap and a little toothbrush or a little brush, whatever you have, and just kind of gave him a little bit of a scrub. This is the front, all nice and shiny, and this is the back. You can see the back. That's where the rings are at, but doesn't matter in stained glass. The front's the back, the back's the front, doesn't really matter. Okay, so there you go. You have now completed your very first stained glass panel. If you have any questions, let me know. I'd be more than happy to answer them. Just shoot me an email at PeaceLuvGlass@gmail.com. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. I hope you will check out our other designs that we have available, and give yourself a little more extra me time. We all deserve that. Thanks again. and have a groovy day.